Hello students, welcome back. Today we will continue with the chapter that we had started last day, which was called separation of substances. In the previous class, remember we had learned about separating mixtures. We had learned how to separate mixtures between solids and solids. In this video we will learn more about separation, but we will learn about separating about liquids from solids. Remember I had a question for you in the last video. How will you separate sugar from a solution of sugar and water? I have the answer for you in this video. Let's have a look. The soluble materials, which means the materials that dissolve in water, such as salt and sugar, can be separated from water by the process of evaporation. Because when the water evaporates due to heat, the salt or sugar is left behind. Sugar dissolves in the water, forming a sugar solution. You cannot see the sugar crystals. But if you heat the mixture, then the water evaporates and it leaves behind the sugar at the bottom. And it's a reversible change, meaning the changes that take place during these steps can be reversed. Now let's get started with our chapter. In this video, we will learn about separating mixtures of solids with liquids. The first process that we are going to learn about is called sedimentation and decantation. What is sedimentation? Sedimentation is the process by which the insoluble, heavy solid particles settle down on their own in a solution. So you have a solution and you have some insoluble particles. These insoluble particles, they settle down at the bottom of the container if you keep the container undisturbed for some time. After that, what happens? The liquid is poured into another container without disturbing the sediments. And this process of obtaining the clear liquid by pouring it into another container is called decantation. So the settling down of the sediment, the solid part is called the sediment, and the clear liquid at the top of the sediment is called the supernatant. So the settling down is called sedimentation, and the process of obtaining the clear liquid by pouring it into another container is called decantation. Example is separating sand particles from muddy water. So if you have a particular mixture of muddy water and sand particles, the sand particles being heavier, they will settle down at the bottom of the container and you can remove them by sedimentation. And then you can decant the water and go for further separation. Let's learn about another very important thing and very interesting part, which is called loading. What is loading? It is a process that speeds up sedimentation. How is it speeding it up? How is it fastening the settling down of finer particles? Well, what happens in loading is a substance called alum is added to the muddy water, and this alum gets attached to the fine particles, forming larger aggregates and settling down. So here you are adding alum to the water, and the alum gets attached to the finer particles. They form aggregates, that is, they form groups. They form a larger body and they settle down. An activity can be done to observe the process of sedimentation and decantation. Let's see what the activity is. A small quantity of muddy water or a mixture of sand and water is taken in a beaker and it is allowed to stand for some time. And then the arrangement is seen after half an hour. So here is a mixture of muddy water and sand and it is being allowed to stand for some time. What are we observing after half an hour? The particles of sand settle down at the bottom of the beaker. This is called sedimentation. So like I said, the sand particles will settle down at the bottom, and that process is called sedimentation. The sand here is the sediment and the water is the supernatant. Transfer of the clear supernatant water, upper layer of water, carefully to another beaker. This process of separating the clear liquid without disturbing the settled solid particles is called decantation. So the clear water can be separated by decantation by pouring into another container. See, the person is doing here with the help of a glass rod. And the fine particles, the layer of fine particles, you can add alum to it, you can conduct loading, and then you can get clearer water again. So three processes only can be utilized over here. Sedimentation for removing the sediment, decantation for obtaining the clear liquid, and loading for removing the finer particles. The next next method that we are going to learn about is called filtration. What is filtration? It is a process of separating insoluble solids like mud or tea leaves from a liquid using fine pores of a filter. Filter is what? It is a medium which has tiny pores. You all have filters at your place. The same process is being utilized in your own homes. We are always doing filtration at our places. The insoluble particles are retained in the filter and the clear liquid is collected as filtrate. So the liquid part that is being collected is called the filtrate and the solid part is called the residue. Look over here, R-E-S-I-D-U-E, residue, which is the insoluble component, and the filtrate is the clear water. The pore sizes of the filter paper is very important. Smaller sized pores ensure better filtration. Muslin cloth can also be used. Filtering tea with a strainer is also an example of filtration. And in the laboratory, the filter paper that is used, it is set into a cone in the following way. Why is it set into a cone? Because we are using a funnel for filtration. For getting the filter paper to the shape of the funnel, we are folding it. How are we folding it? Let's see. The filter paper is usually round in shape. The first fold is done to make it half of the round shape, that is semicircular, and then another second fold is done and a cone of the filter paper is created after the second fold and put into the funnel. After that, the muddy water or the mixture of water and solid is poured through the filter paper in the funnel. The clear water or the filtrate is collected and the residue or the insoluble part is removed. Next method is evaporation. Like I said, like the question I had put forward in the previous class. What is evaporation? Evaporation is the method which is used to separate soluble solid from its solution. Soluble solid from its solution. So this is not applicable if the solid is insoluble in the solution. You cannot apply it to muddy water, but you can apply it to sugar solution. It can be quicker by heating the solution because heat causes evaporation. Water converting to water vapor is called evaporation, and when you heat a mixture, the water gets converted to water vapor faster. Common salt is obtained by evaporation. How? The seawater is allowed to stand in shallow pits. Water evaporates by heat of the sun during day, leaving behind the salt which is then purified. So the process of obtaining salt from seawater is also done by the process of evaporation. Let us look at this activity over here. How to recover salt from its solution in water by the method of evaporation. What are the materials required? A china dish, which is this bowl, an iron stand, a tripod stand. It has 3 legs, hence it's called a tripod, 3-legged stand. A wire gauge, which is this wire-like structure for placing the china dish, a burner for burning, and the salt solution. So 20 ml of common salt solution is taken in a china dish and heated. When the water starts evaporating rapidly, the flame is lowered. What is seen at the end? A white residue is left behind in the china dish, and that white residue is common salt. So what have we seen from this activity? Water evaporates in the presence of heat, leaving behind the solid common salt. Here I have a question for you again. So using a filter is a good way to separate insoluble materials that do not dissolve, from water. We know that. A filter is an object that has holes for the water to go through but are not big enough to let the insoluble material through. Once all the water has gone through the filter, the solid material is left behind. Sieves and coffee filters are good examples of this. But can you explain how a coffee filter works? Let me know in the comment section. I will look forward to your answers. Now, a very interesting activity we are going to discuss in this slide. That is using more than one method of separation. At times you will be given a mixture where you have to use more than one methods of separation in order to separate them. So here in this activity we have taken a mixture of salt and sand. What is the material that is required? A mixture of salt and sand, beakers, conical flask, water, and a spirit lamp. What are we going to do in this? A mixture is kept in a beaker and some water is poured into it. So the mixture of salt and sand is taken in a beaker and we are putting some water in it. What is happening? The salt is being dissolved in the water whereas the sand is not being dissolved. The beaker is left for some time. The salt dissolves in the water and the sand settles down at the bottom. The sand is separated by the process of decantation. Remember what we had said? The sediment forms at the bottom, which is the sand, and the water or the clear filtrate is removed by decantation. Transfer the decanted liquid in a conical flask and heat it for a few minutes. Why are we heating this mixture? Because this liquid portion has the salt particles also dissolved in it. Let the water boil and evaporate. Why are we using evaporation? The white particles of the salt remain at the bottom of the flask. This is why. Because evaporation is removing the water and the salt is remaining behind. Thus, the mixture of salt and sand is separated by using the processes of sedimentation, decantation and evaporation. Very, very important. I have explained with the help of the diagram also. See, separation of sand by filtration here they have done, but we can also do it by evaporation and decantation. Another method is filtration. You can also do filtration, definitely. And then evaporation. Evaporation can also be done in order to remove the salt from the water. Can water dissolve any amount of substance? Before getting into that, we have to learn. The first thing we have to know is solvent. The substance that dissolves the other substance like water is a solvent. So the liquid part is called the solvent. The substance that dissolves in the solvent like salt or sugar is called the solute. The solid is called the solute. And the mixture formed by dissolving a solute in the solvent like salt or sugar that dissolves in water is called a solution. So the solid part is called the solute. The liquid part is called the solvent. And the solute dissolved in the solvent is called a solution. But how much quantity of a solute can be dissolved in a solute or like water? So that's a very interesting question that we can look forward into, that how much quantity of a solute can be dissolved in a solvent like water. For that we have done a very, very interesting activity. Materials required for this activity is common salt, white glass tube or boiling tube. What is the procedure? 10 ml of water is taken in a boiling tube or a test tube and a small amount of common salt is added to the water. The tube is shaken for some time. What are we observing then? The common salt dissolves in water. Little more amount of salt is added to the water and then again shaken. The salt dissolves completely. Salt is kept on adding and the solution is being kept on shaken. After some time you will see that some salt remains undissolved. The undissolved salt settles down at the bottom of the boiling tube. Water can only dissolve only a certain amount of a substance. So what is this activity helping us know? If you keep on adding salt to a little amount of water or a specified amount of water, the salt will only dissolve up to some time. After that, the solution will no longer be able to dissolve the salt. What are we getting to know from this? Let us see. Saturated solution. A solution in which no more solid can be dissolved at a given temperature. So the salt that we were obtaining in the previous activity was a saturated solution, where no more solids can be dissolved at a given temperature. And unsaturated solution is what? A solution in which more solids can be dissolved. From here we are learning about a term called solubility. What is solubility? Very, very important. The maximum mass of a solute that can be dissolved in 100 grams of the solvent at any specified temperature. The maximum mass, that is amount of a solute that can be dissolved in 100 grams of the solvent, that is a water or any other solvent at any specified temperature, at a given temperature only, that is the solubility. Let us look at the activity now. What are we aiming in the activity? To prepare a saturated solution of common salt at room temperature and observe the effect of temperature on the solubility of the solute. The materials required are common salt, white glass tube, water and burner. See the first few steps, they are similar to the previous activity. 10 ml of water is taken and small amount of salt is added to it. The test tube is shaken for some time and it is seen that the salt dissolves in water. Salt is kept on being added until no longer the salt dissolves in the water. After that, the solution is allowed to stand undisturbed for some time. What are we saying? The undissolved salt settles down. The supernatant solution is a saturated solution of common salt in water at room temperature. Very, very important. Now heat the test tube and shake it. What do you observe? The solid salt at the bottom of the test tube also gets dissolved. This shows that at higher temperature more solute gets dissolved. So that is why it is mentioned that at a specified temperature. At room temperature no more salt was being dissolved. But as soon as you start heating the mixture, the salt gets dissolved. Stating what? That solubility can only be defined at a specified temperature. Because as soon as you increase the temperature, the salt will start dissolving in the saturated solution also. What are we concluding? The substance that is common salt dissolves more at higher temperature, or in other words, solubility increases on increasing the temperature. Very, very important. So as soon as you are increasing the temperature, the solubility of the mixture is also increasing. Here we have come to the end of the chapter. But remember, I have had a question for you. So do not forget to answer that question in the comment section. You have to tell me that how a coffee filter works. Apart from that, if you all have any questions, do not hesitate to write it down in the comment section. I will surely get back to you as soon as possible. Till then, keep reading your books, keep learning your chapters, read the work that we are uploading for you all, go through your assignments, and we will meet again in the next video. Thank you everyone. Have a very good day.